Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining this webinar. I know that each of you have a choice in how you spend your time. And so I just really want to say thanks for and express my appreciation for you being here. And given the recent incident of this resurgence of COVID, or now COVID-D, I think many of us really need resilience and inner strength. So I'm Susan Robertson. I am the CEO, I'm the co-founder of Lindsay's Conscious Business. And I wanted to do something a little different with this webinar. I wanted to share with you five lessons that I've learned that help me build resilience and inner strength. There are many articles, there are many talk-offs on resilience and how to build resilience and inner strength. But I want to share with you five personal lessons that I've had in working on developing my own resilience and my own inner strength. And those five are, and I'm going to go into each one of these individually, the five lessons are passion, perseverance, courage, humility, and balance. And so what is resilience? Resilience is your ability, it's my ability to bounce back and remain steady in the face of challenge, no matter what is happening. And inner strength it's the same, but it's a little different because it's your gut fortitude. It's your core strength. Some say it would be the inner strength of grit. And but I like to say that inner strength is what keeps you going no matter what. What keeps you going no matter what. I look back and to when I started the business with my husband, and that was more than 30 years ago. And people would ask me, what kept you going when there was no revenue? And there is, and you didn't know whether you were going to succeed. And I would often say it was belief in belief itself. I believed without evidence that my husband and I could do it. We so believed in the mission and purpose of the organization that we were starting, that it was belief in belief itself. And that kept me going and not quitting. And so those are basically two of the first lessons, passion and purpose. So I want to share with you each one of these lessons and a little bit about how you can work with them. So lesson one is passion. And what is passion, right? What is passion? Passion is, to me, what gives you the energy to persevere through the challenges we face. Passion gives you the strength to rise above the current situation, no matter what it is. Again, when I first started the business with my husband, Barry, we had what we called our years of fear. We didn't know whether we were going to make it or not. We had four little mouths to feed besides our own, a mortgage. We had to build a brand. We never did this stuff before. We were bankers. And there were many times when we were afraid. There are many mistakes that we made along the way, but passion kept us going. Oh, by the way, my name is showing up as Cynthia. I signed in under my sister's Zoom. I am Susan Robertson. So passion is having a love affair with your work. Passion is having a love affair with your family and the people that you are with. And without that passion, without that joy or that spark, you have no energy to overcome the inevitable changes that we all face. So when we feel passionate about something, nothing stops us. Because of passion, we figure out how to rise above our challenges. And so when I was young, and some of you know this, I see some names that I recognize here. When I was young, I lived in poverty. At times we didn't have electricity, water, heat, or even food. And I remember I used to dream about my future life, about what my life would be like once I had the control of, making the choices in my life. And back then, I wasn't in control of a lot of things, but it was the passion of hope that sustained me through the literal dark nights, because there were dark nights because we had no electricity, when I felt that there was only emptiness and void. So that passion of hope gave me something to look forward to in my life. So the question becomes, what is your passion? What gives you fuel? What gives you that energy? What gives you that spark? Because passion can bring meaning in your life. Passion can be the purpose that you have in your life. And passion can be the gift that you bring to the world. And my passion right now is to help others. And I like to say, helping others. I like to help others, but I like to do it in the corporate world. I like to say that that's where I do my warrior stance, because I feel if I can help one leader make a difference, in that way, in the way that they lead, they are able to impact hundreds of, if not thousands of people, and their lives are impacted. So if you take a moment, and while you're taking a moment, I'm going to go ahead and change my name to who I really am. Oops, I am not my sister, I'm me. So I will change my name here. So as you think about passion for yourself, how much passion do you have for the work that you're doing? How much passion do you have for what's happening in your life? How much passion do you have for the people and the teams that you work with? I think another example of how passion gives you energy is that I'm a gardener, and I love gardening. I love the creative process around gardening. And sometimes, as with anything, even the job that I do, which, I'm my own business owner, I get tired. But it's the passion of knowing that what I'm doing, at least how I think about it, knowing what I am doing means I'm making a difference. And I'm making a difference in my life, and I'm making a difference in somebody else's life. And, so when I think about the things that I am passionate about, anything that you are passionate about, you will give time to, always. And, sometimes you think about, okay, but I give my time to things that maybe aren't the most important thing. Well, you have to take a look at when you start to give your time to things that are unimportant, there's some sort of driver there in your life that makes that situation or thing that you are doing important. So, for example, when I am doing things that I really am not passionate about, one, it could just be I'm not passionate about doing expense reports. I mean, I don't know many people that jump for joy on that one. But I know that I need to do that because I'm passionate about having a financially stable company. And so sometimes I have to think about the passion or the joy or the energy that I get when I know that I'm being financially responsible with my company. So it's not that we're going to be passionate about each thing, but for sure, being passionate about the work you do will lead you through those times when you're having to do those things like expense reports that you don't often enjoy doing. The second lesson that I've learned around building resilience and inner strength is perseverance. I've not met a single person yet that hasn't had struggles in their life. All of us face difficult moments. Even those who are what we call blessed face difficult moments. People in our lives get sick. We lose people. We get laid off. We're not, things don't always go according to plan. I think sometimes that's my whole life. I have a certain plan and it doesn't always go according to that. And all of us make mistakes and all of us fail, at one time or another. So to develop resilience and inner strength, I had to actually develop a relationship with my fear and my fear of failure. That was and my fear of making a mistake, or my fear of not measuring up. And I can still sometimes hear that voice inside of my head that, not good enough, or who do you think you are? And it took me a long time to learn this particular lesson. It's perseverance, but it's also the lesson of failure, Because if you are not failing, at least the way I look at it now, then you're not trying. And for me, I want to at least try. I'd rather fall down and skin my knees than to hold myself back. Now, not all of us have that kind of belief system, and I'm going to talk about beliefs later on, but beliefs play an important role in your passion and in your perseverance. So for me, it's really quite simple that if you're doing something new or different, or facing a situation that you've never faced before. I mean, there's not a single one of us that faced COVID before on such a global scale. So many people getting sick, shutdown, a complete shutdown of the economy, a shutdown of how we work and how we are together at work. None of us faced that situation before. And when we face situations that we have no experience with, guaranteed, you'll fail. But that's not like an ominous prediction. We're going to make mistakes because we do. When we're trying out something new, we'll make mistakes, but you will also succeed. If you think back what it was like back in April, and we were taking polls back then in our company with our clients, what were the two things that worried them the most? Well, the number one thing was health. And the second thing was financial stability, because people were looking at, well, if the economy continues and organizations continue to shut things down and people continue to contract, or the economy continues to contract, am I going to have a job? Am I going to have a role? And then what if I get sick? What if I can't provide? And so, many of us went through failures in terms of decisions that we made last year, but also many of us became creative and agile, and we succeeded. We're still here. And so, but let me be clear, even though I know that if I'm not failing, I'm not trying. If I'm not failing, I'm not being flexible, agile, or creative, or changing or trying something new. Let me be clear. I don't like failing. I don't like failure, but now I have a relationship with failure and what that means, because failure is a teacher. Sometimes it's the best teacher, and sometimes failure is the hardest teacher. And so many people quit when things get tough. So therefore, you have to check yourself. Do you have enough passion and energy to push through when things are difficult? Now, I'm not saying be stupid about things. You have to really take a look at the passion that you have. Are there things that you need to learn? Are there things you need to do differently in order to make it through whatever the struggle is that you're going through? Do you have enough love for what you're doing, particularly at work? Or do you have enough love for that person, that situation, for that idea that will allow you to stick with it, to push through it, no matter how tough it gets? Again, I learned that failure is the best teacher. And I'd rather, my goal in life now is fail quickly, learn, fail forward. And hopefully don't make the same mistake over and over again. Otherwise, I may have a learning disability. So, and I've often said, when it comes to difficult challenges, I would rather be sucker punched from the front and head on, because at least I know where I stand. I still don't like being sucker punched. I don't like having those surprises. Those kinds of things take the wind out of you. But I want to share something that was really important to me, that helped me understand perseverance. And it was while I was in college that I ran across a poem called "Don't Quit." And it was as if the universe was reading my mind at that time. I was really, really struggling. I had a full scholarship for college, room and board, but I had no money for toothpaste, or I had no money to wash my clothes or to buy shampoo. And that was a really, really dark time, because I couldn't find a job. My scholarship prevented me from working on campus, getting a campus job. And I was at Kent State at the time, and that town where Kent State is a college town, and jobs were hard to come by. So I was just that poor that I couldn't even afford to buy the card. So I stood there and memorized the poem. And I would go in every day and I'd memorize a part of it, and I'd run outside because I thought maybe I was doing something illegal. And I'd write down the phrase or the stanzas or the lines that I remembered. And it went like this. And it's been I'm a yoga teacher. I like the word mantra. It became a mantra for me from the time I was about 18, even now, many, many years later. And the first part of the poem goes like this: when things go wrong, as they sometimes will, when the road you're trudging seems all uphill, when funds are low and debts are high, and you want to smile, but you have to sigh, when care is pressing you down a bit, rest if you must, but don't you quit. And it was that last line of the first stanza that really resonated with me. Rest if you must, but don't you quit. So that leads me to another thing that helps with perseverance is pivoting. So to have perseverance, we have to pivot from the place where we are to the place where we want to go. And many times we have to pivot from doing, because that just puts you on a hamster wheel that you keep doing things over and over and over again. And from doing to being. And sometimes when we can just be, to sit and think, this allows clarity to come into focus. So when I'm struggling, and particularly when I'm feeling overwhelmed and I have 100 million things on my plate, and it always seems like I have more than 600 emails in my inbox, I stop. And it is so counterintuitive to stop. And I stop doing, and I sit my butt down, and I start being. Because when you stop doing, when you stop racing, because when you're going and you're racing, you're being driven out of fear in that moment. And I pivot into being, slowing down. That allows you to pivot from that fear of overwhelm and confusion and not knowing, and pivot into creativity and clarity. It allows you to start listening to your inside voice, your inner voice of wisdom. That's in real leadership, the L stands for leading with wisdom. And all of us have a wisdom on the inside of us. So you can pivot from being stressed to relaxation, and through meditation and breath work. So you see, when what struggle does is it provides us that opportunity for reflection and to gain perspective. Pivoting means, for me, learning to stop first. Because when I stop, I can actually look at the challenges instead of running from the challenges or running to overcome the challenges. I can stop and look at the challenge and gain a new perspective. Because so many of us, we get into go mode, right? I know we all have our go mode. And I know that when I've been in too much go mode, I get out of balance. And so I have to pivot from doing to being, pivot from being stressed to letting go and relaxing, and pivoting to, I got to get it done just right, to when is it good enough? So a technique that I ran across, and this must have been like 1992, 93, the way they explained pivoting was be, have, do. So when I'm challenged, what I ask myself is this question, how do I want to be and feel? So if I answer that question, it's usually going to be something like, I want to feel not overwhelmed. I want to feel not stressed. I want to feel calm. I want to feel at peace. So I take a moment and I stop and I feel that. I breathe, a teeny tiny meditation. Then question 2 of the pivot. So if I can be in that place, calm, not overwhelmed, not running, not gotta. If I am being and feeling this, what will that allow me to have? And always, I think I get the same answer. I may be a slow learner, but I get the same answer all the time, is that if I can slow down, I can let go, I can have clarity. And if I have clarity, it's almost like it's a double loop. I have peace and calm within myself. I'm not afraid. I'm not feeling overwhelmed. And so then question 3 of the pivot, then what do I need to do in order to have that clarity and to feel at peace and calm within myself? And again, there's 3 answers that come up each and every time. Exercise, get rid of the stress. Meditate, let go of the stress through meditation, let go of the stress through exercise. Take a time out to let go. And finally, stop trying to be perfect. Let it be good enough. And when good enough is good enough. And for those of us who are perfectionistic, and I am guilty of that, that's a hard one. So lesson 3 is courage. The root of courage is core. Courage means to have heart. And heart helps us to overcome fear. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is bravery, it's conviction, it's fortitude. And it means that you have the heart to face the fear. Courage is the willingness to face head on the challenges, the intimidations, the people, the situations that cause fear within us. Because remember, again, courage is not the absence of fear. It is your ability to face fear. It is your relationship with fear and your ability to move forward. So, which leads you to having inner strength, bravery, and resilience. And again, I can remember early on after my husband and I started our business, I was asked to speak at a networking group, and I don't remember what it was. I was living in Jacksonville at the time. And my topic was about valuing differences. And during lunch, before I spoke, one of the attendees started telling a story about those people who were different from her. Apparently, her son was involved in an unfortunate situation where he was involved in a store robbery and robbed at gunpoint. And in the process, he had a severely broken arm that had to have several surgeries and things like that. And since that time, and this had been over 5 years prior, and this woman was still talking about it, and her son is an adult man and was an adult man at the time the incident happened, was still extremely angry, and her prejudice and her stereotyping was just really out in front against people of color. And as I listened to the stereotyping and the prejudice, I could just feel this thing welling up inside of me. And then I started hearing others join in, and I'm thinking, oh my, I'm talking about valuing people and valuing differences and respecting people. And, sometimes we don't know where fear comes from, but I could feel myself that I was sitting there with my heart racing because I felt like I knew I had to say something. And I knew I had to speak from the heart because one incident with one person doesn't characterize a whole group of people. And I can't tell you what I really said because, my knees were shaking and my heart was pounding. And, but somehow I talked through stereotyping and prejudice and how that is not respecting differences, and that sometimes we need to have compassion and respect for the differences of how people are. And again, that one person doesn't represent a whole race. So I often tell people that with courage, sometimes you have to do something even when your knees are shaking. And I can still remember this experience and this incident, and I can feel the feelings that as if it were happening today. And that was nearly 30 years ago. So when you use bravery and courage, you still want to respect the human spirit and respect the human family and still speak your truth. And I'm not talking about your emotional truth and that sort of thing, but the truth of what you see. That, you know, again, like I shared, I could just feel this thing welling up within me, and I knew I needed to say something about respecting and valuing difference. And courage, without courage and without heart, it is much easier to succumb to your comfort zone and to allow stress to govern your life. So lesson number 4 that I've learned in terms of resilience and inner strength is humility. So the opposite of humility is being big-headed and egotistical, hubris, excessive pride. Those things are definitely a downfall for resilience and inner strength. I coach a lot of executives, and the best executives I've met have humility. They are willing to let others be right. They allow themselves to look at themselves with new eyes when somebody gives them feedback, even feedback that they don't agree with. Those who are hubris and have much more ego generally have a fragile ego. They can sound really confident and all of that, but actually they really have low resilience and low inner strength, because as soon as someone disagrees, they act out. And so I've noticed those with big egos are generally angry. And they don't handle feedback well. And so when I'm coaching with people, this is one of the first things I look for is how well are they handling feedback? And then what are they saying about the feedback when they get it? And how are they saying it? And I can generally tell if somebody has a lot of hubris that this is what I'm going to see. Anger, I'm going to see blame, and it's everybody else's fault. And humility for me means you stop blaming and you start assuming responsibility. I hate to admit this, but there have been times in my life where I have not been humble and I've been too egotistical. Because if we are human beings, it's probably happened to you too. If not, then good for you. You can still be right about things, but it's the way that you're right and how you put your rightness out there. Because you still want to be kind. You still want to respect the human spirit. You still want to treat others with respect. Yes, you're going to have experiences and you're going to have insights and knowledge that maybe others don't have. And so this is your opportunity to share with people without being big-headed. So humility to me means the willingness to question, willingness to see another perspective other than your own. And again, I know that for me, when I feel the most dug in, or when I see clients who are the most dug in, probably not being humble, probably operating out of a need to be right, which actually, when you're operating out of a need to be right, that's fear. And when we're operating out of that need to be right, we don't have much resilience in that moment. As an example, I'm coaching somebody right now whose 2 primary derailers are leadership derailers is hubris. I'm the best. I'm the one who, and no matter what the issue is, I'm the one who, and this person is the rescuer. The person is the one that's got it all together. And then the flip side of it that I always hear with this person is they don't appreciate me. They don't understand what I'm doing. They don't value my contribution. So I am the best. It's hubris, and then victim, they don't. Now, it's very difficult to get this person to see that they are, in fact, the cause of their own suffering. And this person is really, really smart technically, but she wonders why they haven't been promoted. And it's because they have a lot to learn about being emotionally intelligent. These 2 behaviors are the 2 behaviors that are holding this person back from their career path. They have hit their ceiling as a result of this. And because this person is smart enough, the organization is willing to invest. They are also willing to say they're willing to let go if she is not able to change. So the 5th lesson for building resilience and inner strength is balance. You are always seeking balance. I hear people say all the time, I need balance in my life. And what I've come to learn is balance is not static. It's not a single point in time. Balance is dynamic, and you're always moving in and out of balance. That sometimes when you're out of balance, you're actually in balance. And so here's the thing about balance. And I heard somebody say this a long time ago, so I'm sorry I can't quote who I first heard it from. And they said, where your attention goes, your energy and your behavior flows. Where your attention goes is where your energy and behavior flows. And so we all go in and out of balance, however we define that. And so when I think about balance and thinking about where's my attention going, so therefore, where's my energy, my passion, my mood, my defense, my fear, and behavior, how is that flowing? I have to ask myself, if I'm feeling out of balance, why am I placing the attention in that direction? Because as far as I know, I'm the only one inside of my own head. I'm the one who gets to choose where I place my attention. I'm the only one who gets to choose how I think and feel. So if I am choosing to place my attention here that's taking me out of balance, well, why am I doing that? And why do I keep doing that? Why do I allow my attention and my intention to take me out of balance? And I can say without a doubt that when I get out of balance and when I've seen other people get out of balance, it's because they are driven by fear. And generally that fear sounds like, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. Generally speaking, when we are in the gotta mode, we are using fear as our fuel and not passion as our fuel. And so when we are driven by fear, we're anxious, we become overwhelmed, and we can experience a range of emotions that can sap our energy. But you can't talk about resilience and inner strength without talking about beliefs. As I said before, our belief structures are also deep guideposts that drive us. Think about it. Again, where your attention goes, your energy and behavior flows. So what you want to pay attention to is your belief systems, because your belief system dictate what you're paying attention to. All of your beliefs around what it means to be successful or what it means to fail. And if you go back to lesson 2, perseverance is about moving through those difficult times. And oftentimes we're in that place of fear of making mistakes, fear of the unknown, because you will make mistakes, as I said before. And again, some people might think that sounds defeatist, but for me, I think, okay, that releases me to not be perfectionistic. Knowing I will make mistakes allows me the time to create and explore without limits. Knowing I will make mistakes allows me to say it's good enough, even when I know that there's more I can do to make something better. So, what are your beliefs saying to you? Sometimes good enough is good enough, and I have to let go. And this brings balance. So, and when we are able to say letting go, we're able to let go and saying good enough is good enough, then that changes our focus of attention. And again, where your attention goes, your energy and behavior flows. And that brings us to where we are today. Now, I am a small business, and my business depends on being with people, whether I'm coaching them or working with their teams, doing team sessions, working on the culture. And with COVID now, many of my clients are starting to contract again, no longer allowing travel, no longer allowing in-person meetings, no longer allowing team sessions. So I have to practice once again my own lessons. And many of you are also facing challenges about what's happening now. We're back into the unknown about what's going to happen. What will we do? What's going to happen to the economy? How will we make it through this cycle? And we need to be able to practice all these skills so that we can continue to have resilience and inner strength. So as we face, whatever our next challenges are, and whatever they may be, here are 3 questions that you can ask yourself to ensure that you are developing resilience and inner strength as you carry forward. So the very first question that you would want to ask yourself is, think about resilience and inner strength and these 5 lessons: passion, perseverance, courage, humility, and balance. So think about those 5, and how do you embody each one of these? How do you embody passion? How do you embody perseverance? How do you embody courage, humility, or balance? And then, of course, the second question is the opposite. Where do you need more focus? What do you need to pay attention to help you build stronger resilience and inner strength? And I know for me, as I looked at this once again, because I'm working these all the time, I realize that given the changes that are going on, that I need to have a bit more courage in terms of what I'm doing or what I'm asking for. And courage to be able to say to my clients, hey, you really need this, and here's how we can help. And then lastly, number 3, the third question is, as a leader, and as you look at your team, what lesson do you need to help them with? Because all of us right now, whether there's COVID or not, there's always some challenge. There's always something going on. And what lesson do they need help with? So with that, I want to say thank you for joining me. And if you are interested in executive coaching or help with supporting your team sessions, particularly through this time, and they need to develop more resilience, as I said before, my purpose is helping others, helping leaders. You can feel free to contact me at susan@lcbgroup.com. And please check out the webinar I did in July, because that was all around meditation, and meditation certainly helps with resilience and inner strength. And then coming up in October during our next webinar, we're going to be talking about organizational trust and teamwork. So once again, thank you for joining us today for this webinar, and we will have it available on replay within the next 48 hours. Have a great day.